Hey guys, it's Saoirse. Today I want to talk about the only book that I've actually completed this month, which is Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Today it is raining outside and it just feels like the perfect time to be discussing this book. I've even got my Beatles jumper thing on because, yeah, this book is named after a Beatles song. So I was drawn to this book a long time ago. I liked the title. I think that was it. I liked the title. No. I mean, I can read you what it says on the back. It's really short. It says, Toru, a serious young college student in Tokyo, is devoted to Naoko, I don't know if I'm saying these right, a beautiful and introspective young woman, but their mutual passion is marked by the tragic death of their best friend years before. As Naoko retreats further into her own world, Toru finds himself drawn to a fiercely independent and sexually liberated young woman. Since it's a coming-of-age story. And I've heard that, like, everybody in Japan has read this book. And it says in the back that when it became really popular, the author was depressed because, like, he was used to being famous, but this put him into the superstar realm. Everybody was reading it, and he didn't have the anonymity that he had enjoyed before. So the interesting thing about this book is that it's not magical realism, which is what Murakami is kind of known for. Hi, kitty. So I wasn't really sure what to expect with it. I just kind of knew, like, I want to read all of his books because I've enjoyed everything that I've read by him before. So I finally got this one. I think it was part of my Amazon haul. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Let's start off with that. I really liked it. I noticed, well, right off the bat, it's first person. And you guys know that really grabs my attention because there's nothing I like more than a good first person narrative. And this book, it even referenced Catcher in the Rye. So I felt a lot of that, you know, Holden Caulfield and also Charlie from Perks of Being a Wallflower, I'm going to keep talking about it, that vibe in Toru's thinking and the way that he speaks and the kind of, like, detached observer who has things happen to him and doesn't really understand or, like, know how to react to other people's reactions to the world around them. Like, these narrators that we keep seeing in these books, they have feelings, but they're almost distanced from them, like they're looking at them through this lens that it kind of interestingly almost keeps them from seeing. Like, it's a lens, but it keeps them from seeing. I don't know, I mean, if you've read Catcher in the Rye or Perks of Being a Wallflower, you know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about because I'm not very clear. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. Even though, like, you can get really frustrated with those characters. Like, people get frustrated with Holden all the time. Like, you know, just open your eyes and see what's going on or feel something, like, more than what you are. But it's a very particular style of writing, and I'm not tired of it yet. And I think I'm actually going to read Perks of Being a Wallflower again soon, and I will count it as one of my books for the month because I'm not going to be so much of a stickler about, like, rereads not counting toward my reading goal. And you guys know I can't wait to talk about that one because I never shut up about it. So, another thing I liked about this book is the dialogue. I think the dialogue is, like, perfect. There's so much of it, and I really respect that about Murakami, that he can write pages of dialogue and all the characters sound different. And in one line from one of these characters and you know which person's talking. That is such an art, such an incredible skill. I know because that is, like, the weakest part of my writing is dialogue, and something I really, really want to improve on. So yeah, He really does a great job of it, and dialogue often feels like forced to me in that it doesn't go with the story as much as just description, but like I could read his dialogue forever and it doesn't take me out of it. So I'm just going to read, I don't want to give away too much about this. Again, it's one of those books that I like where like not an absolute ton of things happens in the book. It's more about this guy living and reacting and just trying to understand. So it really revolves around this one character, Toru, and his interactions with 3 different women. Naoko, who was the girlfriend of his best friend who died, and Midori, the woman that he meets, who's very, very different, and I think Naoko's friend, Reiko. And then he has a couple of guys also that he interacts with, and those are very different interactions. Really interesting the way that I don't want to say interaction again. Every time he talks to somebody, it's very cool to see how he talks to them as opposed to like how he talks to the other people, and what changes about his personality. And this is fiction, and like it still comes across as so real. So some of the quotes I like. This is really short. I have to write things down to feel I fully comprehend them. That's a big reason why I write. It allows you to take a step back and have your hand or your typing fingers keep up with your brain. Like you can think a mile a minute, but you can't type that fast. So when you have to like kind of sit down and work with your fingers to meet the pace of your brain, then you start to see things a little bit more clearly, and details start to come out. Once long ago, when I was still young, when the memories were far more vivid than they are now, I often tried to write about Naoko, but I was never able to produce a line. I knew that if that first line would come, the rest would pour itself onto the page, but I could never make it happen. Everything was too sharp and clear, so that I could never tell where to start. The way a map that shows too much can sometimes be useless. Now, though, I realize that all I can place in the imperfect vessel of writing are imperfect memories and imperfect thoughts. The more the memories of Naoko inside me fade, the more deeply I am able to understand her. I know, too, why she asked me not to forget her. Naoko herself knew, of course. She knew that my memories of her would fade, which is precisely why she begged me never to forget her, to remember that she had existed. That's just beautiful. I mean, I have to hand it also to the translator, because it makes all the difference. It was translated from Japanese by Jay Rubin. Shout out to you. He did a really good job. Unless Jay is a woman, then she did a really good job. Don't know. So, yeah, he makes such great observations that are really poetic at times, and I love that style of writing. You guys know, like, I'd rather read super poetic narrative than, like, a bunch of action happening. I love this. Almost a year had gone by since I had last seen Naoko, and in that time she had lost so much weight as to look like a different person. The plump cheeks that had been a special feature of hers were all but gone, and her neck had become delicate and slender. Not that she was bony now or unhealthy looking. There was something natural and serene about the way she had slimmed down, as if she had been hiding in some long, narrow space until she herself had become long and narrow, and a lot prettier than I remembered. I love that, about, like, hiding in a space and coming out like that space. What spaces do we hide in? You know, there's, like, a lot of philosophical thoughts there that aren't just about, you know, physical appearance. But it's interesting how it correlates. Skipping ahead. He goes dancing with this other girl, and she says, I haven't danced like this in ages. I don't know. When you move your body, it's kind of like your spirit gets liberated. And I just like that because I can totally relate to that. I love dancing, and I mean in all forms, but I do Zumba 3 times a week, as much as I can, and there's nothing like that feeling of just liberation, letting go, letting your body move, feeling the music. It is one of my greatest joys, so I totally get that. You feel free. This was real, I don't know, thought-provoking to me. The book deals a lot with mental illness, especially with Naoko and how she reacted to the death of her boyfriend. Her friend is saying, like, you know, maybe she looks like she's doing well now, but things fluctuate. She says, no matter how hopeless her condition may appear to be, we are bound to find that one loose thread sooner or later. If you're in pitch blackness, all you can do is sit tight until your eyes get used to the dark. I love that line. Get used to the dark. I mean, is that a positive? Does that sound positive to you, or does it sound negative? I mean, are you getting used to the dark, like you're learning how to live with your demons, and like you can function in this headspace, or are you getting used to it and then you're able to find your way out of it? I don't know. I just really like that. Same page. She says, I wrote letters in the classroom. I wrote letters at my desk at home with Seagull in my lap. That's a cat, I think. I wrote letters at empty tables during my breaks at the Italian restaurant. It was as if I were writing letters to hold together the pieces of my crumbling life. I love any talk about writing letters. You guys know I'm about to start writing a lot of letters, as many as I can while I'm also in grad school. I love this, like the art of letter writing, and the anticipation of sending it and wondering what you're going to receive, picturing somebody's reaction to what you've written. It's just really exciting. But I thought that was like a nice, more like bleak look at letter writing, holding together the pieces of your crumbling life. One more. Death is not the opposite of life, but an innate part of life. By living our lives, we nurture death. No one can cure the sorrow we feel from losing a loved one. No truth, no sincerity, no strength, no kindness can cure that sorrow. All we can do is see it through to the end and learn something from it. But what we learn will be no help in facing the next sorrow that comes to us without warning. That's interesting. So just when you feel like you've experienced something life-changing and horrible, and maybe you've moved along with it, you've moved past it, then something else hits you, and this is why, like, you know, you think you can be all well-adjusted and you've learned how to deal with pain, and then the next thing just takes you completely by surprise because it's not the same situation, so you can't grieve for it in the same way every time. I watched this video where someone was talking about losing their husband, and how she didn't like the term moving on, because you don't move on from something. She said you move forward with it. I think that's what she said. I hope that's not wrong. But I think that's so true. You know, maybe some things you'll never forget fully, but you learn how to live your life and you know, and not live with just the pain. Like, let there be more in your heart and more in your life. So yeah, overall I really liked this book. I liked how it talked about grief, mental health. I loved the different interactions with the characters and how it was kind of a small story, but with, you know, an interesting message, and one that I'm not even sure I fully get. Because the strange thing about this is that by the end, I found almost all the characters, or really all of them, to some degree unlikable, and really didn't like their decisions and the way that they treated each other. But I liked the book a lot, and usually I have an issue if every character is unlikable. I hate the story. Because I have nobody to root for. But this was just a very human, down-to-earth story. Springer's trying to control the camera. So yeah, I definitely recommend it, and I have already got, I think one more Murakami book on my shelf to read, and it's The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. If you've read Murakami, tell me how you feel about him. I'd be interested to see if the ones I've read all have the same translator, because I think that makes such a big difference. A good translation versus a bad translation, and so far he's had good ones. But I always wonder, what would it be like if I could read Japanese? Like, would it feel like a different story? So I think that's all I'm gonna say for now. But also, like, check out these headphones I got. I feel like I could be an ASMR artist, except I don't know how to do. Oh, I know what ASMR is. I feel like I'm talking really loud now, because wow, they're noise canceling to the extreme. These are Bose 700 headphones, and I got them because I want to be able to write in public, like go to a cafe and work on my writing without all the chatter and the, like, cafe music playing and everything. I have a hard time lately, like, writing at home, so if I go out in public it helps, but I need that noise canceling, so I'm really excited to try them out in that situation. But yeah, I tried them while listening to ASMR, and I was, like, asleep real quick. It's whack, but that would be so fun to do ASMR videos. I just obviously don't have the microphone for it. I use my camera's microphone, but I'm glad you guys are still watching and putting up with the sound quality. So anyway, I'm gonna go get about my day here. It's already the afternoon. I got a workout coming up. I got some Zumba tonight. I gotta do some reading because, as I said, this is the only book I read this month, and I'm working on the second one. I think the third one's gonna be Perks of Being a Wallflower, and then also finishing up the Sylvia Plath poetry, which is so much. It's all the poems she ever wrote, so it's a lot. Wish me luck. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.